and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach, Mace, RK, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four, we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A here at the DNVR Bar. Today, the A stands for around for a while, as in Derek Carr is going to be around for a while. Talk about that and a lot more here in just a second. Also, going to talk about who's going to most impact the new culture in the Denver Broncos building, a building that will no longer include the media. And finally, a new prospect spotlight coming a little bit later. So we got a lot on the docket. Also, the media will still be on the premises, just not in the building per se.
Exactly. Yes, a lot of windows is what A would stand for me, because we got a lot of windows in here, which I appreciate. The new Broncos media room, no windows.
I love a good media gripe. Like, like we get to cover the Denver Broncos, talk about football for a living, but damn it, we want windows too.
It's a small thing to ask for.
Actually, one thing that I was thinking about, right now the only way for the media to access it is through a stairwell. What if you have a disabled reporter?
Oh, that's yikes.
They're going to have to go down the elevator.
They're going to have an actual real gripe, not just media.
They're going to have to send them down the elevator and on the practice field in the field house.
Well, we'll survive. But
we will survive in the tornado room that is the media room now.
Right. If you're looking to survive in a new world, you got to check out MSU Denver and get that education. You can work and get your education at MSU Denver. The students there work twice as many hours as students attending any other college institution. So you got to check them out. Got to go over to msudenver.edu/online. Of course, they are the presenting sponsor of the show, and we appreciate them very much.
Man, my boys, what is up, Ryan? Happy to have you back. We're all back. And if you're tuning in, that means you're back with us. Hit us with a thumbs up on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. If you're tuning in on Twitter, flip over to YouTube. It helps us. The audio stream is better. And also, the comment section, a lot more popping. So we'd really appreciate it if you hit us with a thumbs up.
New intro.
Yes.
We got the players sorted out.
Featuring Pat Surtain.
I don't even think I've been on the show since Kareem Jackson came back, which really isn't that long ago. And I think I only missed 3 shows.
Right.
But it feels like a lot has happened since then.
Well, what do you think about Kareem?
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Because it's not a reunion.
No.
It's just a welcome back.
Yeah, I guess technically he was a free agent at one point.
Yeah,
so
he was.
He wasn't a Bronco. Could be construed as a reunion.
It could be, but you could also make the case that he walked to the door to leave, opened the door, but never actually went outside.
Yes,
right.
That's true. I'm not big on breakups and makeups.
And there were no bad feelings about this.
So I love this. You need dogs. He's a dog. Starts and ends. Like, you guys have already broken it down, but to me, that's the only thing that matters.
Yep, and $2 million. Are you kidding me? Yeah, sign me up.
Great deal, attitude. The type of guy that you just need to have on your team. And if you didn't have him, you got to get a different one. I would have loved Tyrann Mathieu. That's not happening anymore. That's okay. But you got to have one, and they kept a good one around.
And on top of that, we hear from Justin Simmons just how important Kareem is back there for football, but also for the other things. Like you said, the dog, the voice, the juice that he brings. You can't just replicate that. You can't go and draft that and have that come in. The intangibles Kareem Jackson brings.
Yeah, as Jose says in the comments, Kareem opened the door and it was cold out there, so he came back in. Okay. Let's dive into this, and I guess for an update on exactly what we're going to talk, Let's toss it over to Zach in sports.
Well, thanks, Ryan. And this morning, Derek Carr and the Raiders agreed to a 3-year extension worth $121.5 million, which will tie him to Las Vegas through the 2025 season. It tacks on 3 more years to his existing deal. Let's break it down in news.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I guess they're putting a lot of miles on that car, wouldn't you say?
Wow, I get it. Took me a minute.
All right, let's dive into this. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for the Denver Broncos, Mace?
I don't think it's either.
Not a thing.
No, it's he's not an elite quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, and the Raiders get him at a price that it's about $10 million a year, less than that of say Aaron Rodgers, for example. It's less than that of Patrick Mahomes. It's less than that of Deshaun Watson. By the way, it doesn't kick in until 2023. He's still playing this year on 19.8. I mean, it's fair value. I mean, it's at this point, it's too early to tell because we still don't know how he and Josh McDaniels are going to mesh. That's why I'm like, it's not good, not bad. It just is.
It is fair value for Derek Carr. Every time a quarterback gets a contract, it's going to be more than they're worth. And look, Derek Carr is now a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL. But the fact that he didn't reset the market, if you would have reset the market, that would have been a really bad deal for the Raiders. But he's probably about the 10th to 12th best quarterback in the NFL. Now he's getting paid top 5 money. So he is getting overpaid, but every quarterback, when they get that new deal, gets overpaid. But it's about right where he should be. And the good news for the Broncos, and I like Derek Carr. I really respect his game. I think he's a really good quarterback. I would have been okay if the Broncos got him somehow this offseason if they didn't get Russ. But saying that, the Raiders just locked in the 4th best quarterback in the AFC West through 2025. Is Patrick Mahomes going to have a big drop-off? I don't think so by 2025. No. Is Justin Herbert going to have a big drop-off? I don't think so. Is Russell Wilson going to have a big drop-off? No, he's not. Derek Carr is a really good quarterback. He's not great. He's not elite. Those other quarterbacks can be, in my opinion, great and elite. So that's one thing the Raiders did. They got a really good quarterback who is going to be the worst quarterback in the division.
So if I pressured you on it, you say good thing for the Broncos.
Good thing, yes.
I think I'll take the other side.
A scary thing, though. It's good scary.
I say bad thing. And the reason why I say bad thing is because Derek Carr is good. And why does that matter other than the obvious? Because there was a world, it was a small world, but there was a world that existed where Josh McDaniels comes in and says, that's not good enough for me. We need better. I'm willing to take that risk. And I would have bet the house that if they were to do that, they would have not been able to get someone better than Derek Carr.
But I think that probably went out the window when they brought in Devontae Adams.
For sure.
Derek Carr's good buddy.
And they promised Devontae Adams that Derek Carr would be around when he signed his extension. So that actually gave Derek Carr a lot of bargaining power. If I were him, I would have just kept saying more. And so that's another thing. He could have gotten more, in my opinion. I think every quarterback can essentially say $50 million or I'm gone.
Yep.
And your options are give him $50 million or go back and look for a quarterback again. And no one wants to look for quarterbacks. Now, I will say there's a little bit more quarterback movement than we've ever seen right now. Obviously, the Broncos are the main beneficiary of that. But the truth is, nobody wants to look for a quarterback. And if you have one, and Derek Carr might be the cutoff. I looked at today. Yep. I've got him as the 12th best quarterback in the NFL. And below him, I look at the people and I'm like, if they were holding my feet to the fire, I would let them walk. Derek Carr, I would not let walk. So I think the Raiders actually got a discount here. Derek Carr, he loves it. He loves that organization. He's a big part of it. He just got his buddy there. They're going to start their own movie about them living next to each other probably. It's a good situation for them. And so for me, it's a net negative for the Broncos.
And if Derek Carr can reach another level, I think it's in a situation where he's with Josh McDaniels, who as an offensive mind is brilliant. It's with Darren Waller and it's with Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. If he can reach another level and become great, he's in the situation for it right now. And I wouldn't be surprised. And so maybe this is more so of a neutral for me, because I wouldn't be surprised at the end of this season if we're talking about all four quarterbacks in the AFC West being the top 7 quarterbacks in the NFL.
That'd be fair. And I think the McDaniels effect is the wild card in this, right?
Yep.
Because if McDaniels has a positive effect on him, I mean, he had a positive effect on Tom Brady for a long time. If McDaniels...
Potentially.
Yeah. Well... what do you mean potentially? He had a positive effect on him for many years.
It's a chicken or egg type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
was Tom Brady great or was Josh McDaniels great? I'll probably lean Tom Brady.
Or maybe it was both of them.
It could be, but
Yes.
we live in
It's the whole
in a
thing of
world
like,
where
is
nuance
it
does not exist. You gotta pick
is it
one side.
Belichick or Brady? Why can't it be both?
It
That's
can, but that's not nearly as fun.
Of course not, but it's probably reality, and I'm not.
Yes, of
I'm about reality. and
What
less
we've
than
seen
fun.
these past 2 years, though, is if you have to give it to someone, you got to give it to Tom.
Yep.
Your guy, Tom.
I would say
Nice.
I will give Josh McDaniels a fair third place in terms of who has the most impact. You know, you're not gonna
3
give
out
it
of
to,
3 is what you're saying.
Well, you're not going to give it to like Robert Kraft or like
No.
anyone else around there. So he gets third.
He wrung a good season out of Kyle Orton.
He did,
He did. I mean, to his credit.
and Matt Castle.
And he drafted Tim Tebow. Thank you for that, Josh.
Anyways, you're right, and this could be a scary match if Josh McDaniels doesn't royally F it up by being Josh McDaniels. He has a really good quarterback who's smart. You know, for them, it's so much about being able to read the field. That's what Tom Brady did so well all those years. Identify mismatches and get the ball to him. And Derek Carr can do that. And he is intelligent enough to deal with some really complex game plans. That's Josh McDaniels' thing. Really complex game plans. And to his credit, even the Broncos who hated him, which is every Bronco, all say, but.
Yep.
He was a genius,
Yep.
and I've never been more prepared for football games than I was with him.
Yep, exactly. You're 100% right. And so I wouldn't be shocked if in the next 4 years, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the AFC West 1 year. Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the AFC West another year. Justin Herbert takes that 1 year. And Derek Carr takes that 1 year. However, over these next 4 years, I think it'll balance out where Derek Carr is the worst. Not bad. He's still going to be very good, but the worst of them. And how tough of a position are you in when you have the worst quarterback in your division?
You're in a tough one, but it's not like the Broncos the last few years.
It's not.
Where you had no shot. You just look up there and you say, okay, well, unless we have a historically great defense, we're probably not competing in this division. Or you catch lightning in a bottle with, a Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock or Joe Flacco.
And there's another thing also. He might be the worst quarterback, but he could possibly have the best set of pass catchers. And Carr, kind of you say, like he's on the right side of that line where you give him the money. Carr is good enough to maximize the targets that he has. I mean, you can win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr throwing to Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams, and then with the pass rushers they've got on the other side.
Do you think they get a Super Bowl in the next 4 years?
Wouldn't surprise me if they did.
I
Again, it depends on McDaniels. I actually think like those key players in the passing game and then in the pass rush, they're good enough. This is a question of whether Josh McDaniels is truly different than he was in Denver, or if his man management is the same as it was in Denver. If it is, they won't win squat.
What do you
If
think?
it's not, then he could be maybe not at the level of Belichick, but in terms of the arc, Belichick learning from his first stint, being somewhat different in his second stint and succeeding, that wouldn't surprise me.
What do you think the odds would be at DraftKings to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years?
For the Raiders or
Just-
any team?
Well, I mean, we're talking about that. So, but I mean, obviously, so right now, what are the Raiders? Probably plus 2,000 or something to win.
Yeah, the Raiders, remember, are always undervalued in Vegas.
Yeah,
Which is funny.
it is
since
funny.
They're in Vegas. I'm pulling it up right now.
So then you got to take something off of that. I mean, it probably wouldn't be very good value, but I would take the bet. If you wanted the action base on plus 900 to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years,
I'd take it.
I would take your action on that.
I'd take
So
it.
you would take that?
I would accept Mace's bet.
Oh, saying he won't win.
What is that 9-1?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I definitely take that.
Okay, and here we go. It's going to be probably better than that because right now, like we said,
9 pizzas to 1.
undervalued in Vegas. The Raiders are plus 3,500 to win. So 35 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl this year. So in the next 4 years, you're probably getting cut that in half. 18
I would
to
say
1?
less. I don't really know. I really don't know because Vegas isn't really in the business of doing such a thing.
Right.
I would love that. Like if they were to give, what would the odds be on the Broncos to win a Super Bowl while Russell Wilson is the quarterback? Like,
Ooh.
Could you get that?
Right
What
now
would it
they're
be,
plus
500?
1,600. Yeah, I would say about probably plus 500.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I would take that.
I don't know if they would even be willing to accept bets that last longer than a year.
Right.
I have no idea.
I think they're always willing to accept your money in some
Well, they
form or
should
fashion.
be because
Yes.
they just get to put it away
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do whatever they want with
They,
it.
they
once
put
I
it in
bet
escrow. Yeah.
I put it in escrow,
Right.
I guess would be more likely. Like my Nikola Jokic MVP bets.
Ooh, that's looking good, buddy.
Do I need to add like a Rockies to win the NL West to my escrow account?
Oh, why don't you well, it's probably too late to parlay that with a Jokic MVP.
Yeah, they took that down now that the tracker is out there. Have you
Right.
Have you seen
Yep.
this?
Yep. Kale, super producer Kale showed me this morning.
Spent more time in that than I've spent in any Google Doc ever. Actually, that's not true. But when we launch markets, we do a lot of Google Docs. But I've spent a lot of time on that. I've refreshed it at least 100 times. What are we at right now, Kale?
27 first place votes for Jokic.
Let's go.
Here we go, dominating,
27 to 7.
away
A 20
with it.
a 20 vote lead in the first place category.
How many voters are there anyway?
I think there's 100
100
and
flat.
1 because
really?
I think there's one fan vote.
No.
Yep, that's what Mr. Google Doc said. And I'm not talking about Kale. I'm talking about the actual
guy.
doc. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyways, it would be an interesting bet to see what they would give you for this year or next year or next year or the
Yeah.
next year.
Just a parlay.
Probably not the best odds,
not a
but
parlay.
I'd be willing to take the action on the other side. 9-1 pizzas.
This is Mace's
not
first
bet-
pizza bet?
I'm not betting. I'm not making a real bet or a pizza bet or anything. I'm just saying that I would take those. But you know how I feel about betting on football.
Yeah, fair.
And I would say that they're not going to win a Super Bowl because of how difficult of a task it is for any of these AFC West teams. But then especially when you just have the worst quarterback. And again, I say that saying that Derek Carr could easily be a top 7 quarterback in the NFL this year.
So this is the number one thing I've been thinking about as it relates to the AFC West recently. In the AFC West, the second most valuable position, and it kind of almost washes out at quarterback because the players are so close. You could make the argument the single most important position in the entire team in the AFC West is general manager. Everyone has their guy at quarterback. It is going to come down to which general manager can build the best team, I think. Now, coach is right up there, of course, too.
Yep.
Who can call the best games? Who's going to, blow it like Brandon Staley did several times last year?
He did.
Who's going to make the right calls and press the right buttons? A lot of games will come down to that. But I think over a larger sample size, let's say a 5-year sample size, I think it's going to come down to which GM hits on draft picks and brings in value free agents because they're going to be spending a lot of money on quarterbacks, and who hits on their DJ Joneses and all that. And if that's the case, I like where the Broncos stand.
Absolutely, and then it is head coach as well, and then pass rusher probably on the field right after that. And you can tell from what those GMs have done this offseason about loading up on pass rusher. Every team outside the Chiefs has loaded up on pass rusher this offseason, and the Chiefs already have a huge investment at pass rusher with Chris Jones.
Although I think the biggest gamble that George Payton has made is exactly at edge rusher. It's Randy Gregory.
It is.
Of all the moves that Payton has made, that's the one I like the least.
Me too.
And that's the one that is the riskiest.
I completely agree. It's a high gamble, high reward with a low floor. There's a lot to lose there potentially. And speaking of that, guys, how does this impact Russell Wilson's value? This Derek Carr $40.5 million per year deal.
Not at all.
I was going to say the exact same thing. It doesn't impact it one bit. Now, if Derek Carr would have reset the market, oh boy, that would have been
trouble.
really bad news. But this is, like I said, this is right about where Derek Carr should have been. He's the 12th best quarterback, gets paid the 5th most. For Russell Wilson, this doesn't change anything. He's going to reset the market and should reset the market. The market was not reset, so it doesn't impact Russell Wilson at all, in my opinion.
Doesn't. Not one bit.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't say anything different than Zach.
It's like Scotty Scheffler sitting atop the leaderboard and someone behind him just made a birdie.
Right.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know.
Until on 18, you're a little nervous there.
That was so funny, dude. I was saying so by the time he got to the last putt, he had 2 more. So he could have missed that one. And then he could have also missed the
that
next one.
Yeah.
That one that he made, no chance I'm getting that to the hole. I'm purposefully leaving it short. So the last one, there's no way. This is a tap in inside a foot.
Right.
Like I'm not taking any chances of that ball going past the hole and somehow rolling.
Yeah, man. And he did. He took the risk.
Spence was saying, so when because he's a golf pro, when you become a golf pro, you have to pass a player ability test. And so you go out to a course. There's a bunch of other guys who are trying to get it. And there's a number set based on the slope of the course and all that. And if you hit the number, you become a golf pro. If you don't, you don't.
Man.
He goes into 18 needing to make bogey. It's a par 5.
Okay.
He gets on in 3. I think he said he has like 8 feet. And all he has to do is 3 putt.
Yep.
So he's like, first putt, 4 feet. Second putt, 3 feet.
Yep.
Last putt, 1.
Yep.
He makes it on the number and gets it done.
That 1 foot, though, that's got to be the most nerve-wracking 1 foot putt.
Yeah, 1 foot is close enough that the nerves don't come in, at least for me.
Big timer, huh?
Once you start getting to like 2 is when you start envisioning how
Right.
it could
Yep.
possibly not go in.
Yeah. You start thinking of little pebbles it could hit and slopes that you miscalculate.
Right. You're like, does it break? It doesn't seem like it, but it potentially could.
Yep.
Anyways,
I don't know how we got. I'm trying to track back to Broncos how we got there.
reset the market, Scotty Scheffler.
But how do we even get from that to that?
What do you mean?
How did we get from reset the market to Scotty Scheffler?
It was just me
I don't
making
know.
a metaphor.
You lost me. I'm gone.
Well, I'll try and get you back here. If you're lost, I know where you can go to be home. It's right here at the DNVR Bar. It's my second home. I think a lot of people would say the same thing. In fact, there was someone who sent out a tweet months ago that I think about like once a day, where they said, I'm at the DNVR Bar for the first time, but it feels like home.
Beautifully
That
said.
hits,
Yes.
that hits. I think it was Kevin who posted that tweet, and I think about it all the time. So thank you for that. This is home. It's home for us. It's home for our studios. It's home for the best vibes you can possibly find around a Nuggets, Avalanche, Broncos, Rockies watch party around town. And we are just about going into the Golden Zone.
Oh, baby.
The best time to be around here is during the NBA and NHL playoffs, which weirdly don't overlap as much as they normally do this year. I was completely shook by that. I didn't even realize that until this week.
Yep.
Because of the Olympic break knocked back the NHL. But anyways, first Nuggets playoff game this Saturday. It is going to be absolutely electric in here. I would just say to you, like, if your friend has a wedding, sorry to your friend. You should be here.
And then we know Monday is the next game. We got a game on Thursday. I mean, it is heating up. I am so pumped. I'm also so pumped.
Oh, and I was just going to say, so Saturday is going to be even more crazy here at the DNVR Bar because we also have an Avs takeover that night. So we're not going to, we've called in reinforcements. We're going to have like beer tubs around the bar to make sure no one goes thirsty. It's going to be just an all-timer. Like,
Yep.
I already know it's going to be one of those that we remember forever.
I can't wait. And for the NBA playoffs, you can get $150 in free bets heading into the NBA playoffs by going over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet $5 on any play-in game, and you get $150 if your team wins. If you bet on Minnesota last night, congratulations. You won a championship
I did.
along with $150. You can bet on tonight's games with the second round, I guess the second night, I guess is what they call it, of play-in games. Then there's going to be play-in games tomorrow, so you can get in on them all. Bet $5, win $150 in free bets. Start your account with 150 free bets over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Use that code DNVR when you sign up to get that deal. Bet $5 to win $150 instantly. It's promo code DNVR at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only, minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
I think it's basically like on the play-in that the first round of games last night, they're not elimination games. So it's a stair step. Okay, First you've got the teams that have a second chance, and then tonight and Friday, that's when it's do or die.
Yep.
It's kind of last night's the gateway drug.
For sure.
Yeah.
And now the second, I only saw the first half of the first game since I was on a plane, but they did have the game on the plane, which was cool. And then I watched all of that second one. Pat Beverly, what are you doing? I'm cool with being hyped. You can't do the standing on the scorer's table. Just it's off limits to me. It's like holding the Stanley Cup if you haven't won it.
So you're part of the no fun league. You're like, don't celebrate, don't have fun, act like you've been there before, even though Minnesota really hasn't been there before.
No, you can't stand on the scorer's table. You could do everything else.
Well, how do you feel about court stormings from the fans?
Oh, storm every
it.
court
So
after every game.
why is that okay, but it's not okay to stand on the scorer's table?
It's a thing that you do when you win the championship.
This was pretty much their championship.
I know. And actually, so I tweeted out, I was like, congrats to Pat Beverly on winning the NBA championship. And you know what? I slept on that, and I thought it was a bad take for myself.
Wow.
But
now you're coming out hard against it today.
Other than the standing on the scoreboard thing, or the scores table, which no.
It's the T-Wolves, though.
Hold on.
They've literally never made the finals.
I'm going to, and they're not going to this year either.
That's very true.
I realized that I don't celebrate small victories, which that's what that was, a small victory. I don't celebrate those enough in my life. So I should have actually commended Pat Beverly for doing something that I can't do, because I think that everyone should actually, and I'm being completely serious here. I know it sounds like I'm doing a bit, but I'm being serious.
You have a big old smile on your face.
I think that everyone should celebrate their small victories more.
I agree.
And I'm one of those people that I'm like, I look back like 3 months ago or something that happened, and I'm like, man, I should have been more happy that thing happened.
Right.
Like, it's like there have been some times over the years where teams, they'd make the Final Four and they wouldn't cut the net down, or they wouldn't cut the net down when they won the conference tournament because, we're focused on the championship. Celebrate the steps along the way. It's like in baseball, they break out the champagne when you advance in a playoff round.
Yep.
I no problem with that.
Right. You had to go through the Sahara Desert just to get there.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway.
And so what are we celebrating today?
What are we celebrating today?
Us three being together?
Yes. We're
Round of
celebrating
applause.
Okay. I'll think of something later. Okay, so
grab yourself a Breck brew when you're down here at the DNVR bar for playoffs. No better thing to be drinking during Nuggets and Broncos playoffs than Breck brews. And if you can't make it down to the bar, make sure to stop by and check out the Breck beer locator on their website, top right-hand side of their website, to get yourself some Breck brews while you're watching playoffs.
Wait, really quick. I got to give a shout out to, let me just make sure I see it in my DMs, Devin. So check this out. My guy Devin DMs me today. For the last however many months, he has been at Army basic training. You know what happens there? They take your phone away. So you are completely detached from the world.
Oh my goodness.
He finished today, got his phone, and found out that the Broncos have Russell Wilson today.
Goodness, that is wild, over a month later.
How cool is that?
That's
I was like, I'm
awesome.
so jealous that you get to feel that right now.
Right, and then, man, all that catch-up he gets to do is going to be fun.
That's what he said. He's like, I'm catching up on pods all day.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Not even TV in there, obviously.
I guess not. He said I was like, wait, you're telling me you're just hearing about this today for the first time? He's like, there was like some vague rumors that had floated around the base or whatever. But I I wasn't confident in it.
Wow. Yeah, you could drop a rumor in there and have it spread, and it's totally fake.
Yeah, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's like one of those movies where someone's like frozen or
Right.
something, and then they like come back to a
Yeah,
whole new world.
that is wild, especially in today's day of age.
So congrats on having like
Yes.
the best day today, Devin,
Yes.
and also thank you for your service.
Yes, and congratulations on finished basic training.
Yes, exactly.
It's worth having a Breck Brew to celebrate that.
100%. Okay, so we joke kind of about vibes,
Yep.
but that story I was just telling about Josh McDaniels illuminated something to me. So again, the players will tell you. DJ Williams said it on an early BSN Broncos podcast. In fact, he said, "I've never been more prepared for football games in my life. I've never met someone who had better game plans, etc., etc., etc." So why did that Broncos team fail? Besides from the fact that they traded away their franchise quarterback for a scrub.
Alienated too many players, and I'm not going to say that they quit on him, but like we all recall the video of Thanksgiving night when Josh McDaniels is walking over to the O-line and he just reams them out. All we're trying to do is win an MFing game.
Do your job. all
Yeah,
that.
bit by bit, losing the team, losing the players basically man by man. And then another thing that happened is, in terms of his confidence, 6-0 was probably the worst thing that could have happened to him. 6-0,
Invincible.
yeah, like you think that your poop doesn't stink,
Right.
at 6-0. You start thinking that everything you're doing is right, and then reality kicks you upside the face, and
So
you don't know how to adapt.
And I'll put it even simpler. It was a terrible place to be. It was an awful workplace.
vibes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The vibes are bad.
It's exactly what it is. And again, like, it's a jokey word. We use it a lot around here, and it's almost like we're like making fun of ourselves sometimes
Right.
when we say it. But it is true that is such a big thing. You know, there's like an old saying in the business world: people don't leave companies, people leave managers. It's the same sort of thing. And you know, the personnel wasn't great. The personnel had issues, but they were 6-0. They beat the Patriots. They were rolling, and then something changed. And the thing that changed was people got sick of Josh McDaniels' BS. And so while there's so much to football, while it can be so nuanced and it can be so complex, and there's so many little things that happen in a game and happen over the course of a season that matter, it's also a big group of humans who are impacted by outside factors and factors in their everyday life, and whether or not you come to work happy every day or whether or not you dread coming to work every day makes a huge impact on the success of a team over the course of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or a head coach's time there. And so that leads me to this. There's very clearly a different vibe in the Denver Broncos building. Who is the most important person to that vibe? Zach?
It's Russell Wilson. And the reason for that is Russell Wilson not only brings a different vibe, a championship vibe, but he brings legitimate hope and belief that it can happen.
Mace?
And I think what Hackett is doing matters a hell of a lot.
Yep.
Especially after the last few years. Justin Simmons was very diplomatic when he was asked about yesterday, kind of comparing it to the past, but kind of what he said about how usually a coach walks in and, I expect to hear about them, about their philosophy, introduce the assistants. And yesterday, Hackett gets up and he's saying, hey, it's, Brett Ripping just got married, and it's, so-and-so had a kid, and so-and-so's birthday. That it was just and then kind of conversing with guys as they walked in. That matters, but at the same time, if Vic Fangio were still the head coach and they traded for Russell Wilson, there'd be a different vibe.
Yep. And the vibe would be very positive right now with Nathaniel Hackett as head coach about this renewed energy and
Or
freshness.
You mean with Fangio?
No,
okay.
with Hackett. If it was Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, he would still be the same way. Where when players are walking into the team meeting room for the first time, he's introduced, or he's meeting them. He's playing music. He's talking about his hip hop experience. It would be fun still, but at the end of the day, when players walk out of the building, I think they would kind of think what we thought too. Well, what happens if they start losing? It's great now, but what happens when they start losing? And a head coach, when you have a quarterback there's a lot more belief in that, okay, this thing's really going to work. When you have a head coach, it's like, man, I like where we're at right now, but what happens if the quarterback plays below average again? Where's this thing going to be? With Russell Wilson, you know you're going to be in it.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I actually think that Nathaniel Hackett is equally as important to this, and I'll explain why. First of all, having Russell Wilson changes everything. It instantly sets the baseline for where things can be so much higher. Pretty much gives you a person where you say, if anything goes wrong, we can just look to this guy. He's one of the best, if not the best, And that changes everything too. Of course, because of Russell Wilson, not because of Nathaniel Hackett, every Bronco wakes up in the morning and thinks they can win a championship this year. And so Nathaniel Hackett can't control that, but Russell Wilson can't go and talk to everyone every day. Russell Wilson doesn't stand up in front and do the meetings every single day. Russell Wilson mostly is going to be spending his time with the quarterbacks, the offensive line, and the wide receivers. And he will still have a great impact just on his own, just by being who he is and what I just mentioned. Nathaniel Hackett is the one who has to go up there and set the tone every single day for the team. And so he also plays a huge role in it. And I think the point you made, Mace, whereas about Vic Fangio, it wouldn't be the same. These guys are going to come in every single day thinking that work is going to be fun. And that wouldn't have happened with Vic Fangio. Now, you still get all the things we mentioned with Russell Wilson, where everyone's like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's fun because I think we're going to win a championship this year. But it's one thing that I think the Broncos could get over on the rest of the division is these guys are going to end up loving each other, hopefully more than any other team in the league and in the division. These guys are going to want to come to work, hopefully more than any other team in the division and in the league. And we talk about, the GM thing, but these are the little advantages that you have to try to get. And I think Nathaniel Hackett gives the Broncos a big advantage in one category.
A lot of things, though. I think Andy Reid's probably a place where guys like to go and they enjoy the workspace. I think Brandon Staley's having a heck of a buy-in from his team because he's put confidence in them. Maybe it's not as upbeat and energetic, but Brandon Staley does kind of strike me as a coach like that. The one place that could really hurt in the AFC West is Josh McDaniels. I don't think he's going to go from a miserable workplace to this fun, happy, fun-loving place. It's going to be fun for them when they start winning, if they start winning, because of what Josh McDaniels is doing. So I do kind of disagree with you there. I do think Nathaniel Hackett is certainly at the top of that with the other coaches, but I think, unfortunately, for the AFC West, there's some really good coaches.
But I'm just saying, can you get one notch above the other ones?
Maybe. I mean, Andy Reid, what he's doing there, he seems to me like a guy that people would love to play for, and the winning's been there too.
For sure, 100%. But
it's all about the winning. I mean, that's if the Broncos had kept winning with Josh McDaniels, for everything that was all the negative vibes that were there, guys will put up with a lot of crap if they're going 13-3 or today 13-4 or 14-3. Like in New England, players do come to play for Bill Belichick.
100%.
Because, and maybe not so much now that Tom Brady isn't there, but guys will put up with a lot of garbage because they knew it was a great chance to get a ring.
Yep.
And that's what, and I think what Nathaniel Hackett is doing is terrific. But let me ask you guys this. Which situation has better vibes, as it were, and just more confidence? If Nathaniel Hackett is the coach, but he's got Drew Lock and whatever free agent flotsam you signed at quarterback, or Vic Fangio at coach, but Russell Wilson's your quarterback?
Easy answer. It's Russ.
Yeah.
Yep,
for sure.
100%. Now, here's the thing, and that's why I think Russ, but I think there could be a great good cop, bad cop situation that could unfold in Denver in a really positive way. Nathaniel Hackett's going to be the good cop. I mean, he's the guy that's always going to be there, always going to be, even after a loss, still positive, still energetic and outgoing. Russell Wilson, he's going to have some Peyton Manning to him. He's going to have a little bit of a-hole to him. Now, I think he's going to be a great teammate and uplifting when it needs to be, but if you're not doing something right, Russ is going to have no problem laying into you, telling you how it needs to be, and especially since these guys are both on offense, I think we're going to see, maybe we won't see it, but I think behind the scenes there's going to be a dynamic of Russ is going to lay into guys, Nathaniel Hackett's going to come and raise him up, and maybe that could eventually turn into a bad thing, but I think initially, I think that's going to be a really good partnership and pairing.
I actually kind of have a hard time imagining Russell Wilson laying into someone. I think it would be more pull them aside and have like a serious talk.
Well, I think
Where
that
he
I think
says-
that's what Lane just being
Okay.
being the
Hey, Manning
bad cop.
would say, "What the f are you doing, you idiot?"
Yeah, that's not Russ's personality. Like that.
I think we could see a little bit of that too, though.
Interesting. I don't see it either, man.
He's got to be himself, and I think he can be. I think he can be forceful, but I don't think it's going to be very. I don't think Russ is going to be yelling, "God damn it, so and so." Like,
God damn it, Donald.
Yeah, when Payne did Donald Brown back in the day.
I mean, I think forceful is being bad cop as well. You know,
I think it
just
would be
being-
like,
just
"Hey,
being harsh.
listen, you cannot do that."
Yeah,
You know?
harsh. Yeah.
Right, for sure. It's different, but similar.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the good cop bad cop thing. I think it's closer to good cop. And like I was trying to think who could be the bad cop. It's not Justin Outen. He's not going to be the bad cop.
I was going to say, who's the bad cop on the staff? The problem is it's not offense. Like the guy I could see being
I don't
bad
think
cop.
Nathaniel Hackett wants bad cop.
Well, no, but the guy I could see
true.
being bad cop for a good chunk of the roster because he coaches special teams is Dwayne Stukes. There's and you guys saw it. There is certainly an authoritativeness to how
he
Stukes
rolls.
communicates.
You just
But he's
he
not
can
gonna, yeah.
he
But
can
he's not
do that
gonna
with
be-
special
but he's
teamers.
not-
You can't
yeah,
do
yeah.
that with starters on offense and defense if you're the special teams coordinator.
Well, half your starters on offense are still at least somewhat involved in special teams. It's not going to work for the skill guys on offense, but it's going to touch the offensive line. It's going to touch the defensive
it's
line.
not going to work
It's
for the
gonna touch
guys that really
linebackers.
matter.
Right. I like that because I think you have to demand respect as a special teams coach. I will never forget watching the players just not care what Brock Olivo was saying, which was sad because I liked Brock Olivo, and they just didn't respect him. And that's a hard thing. So as a special teams coach, you have better demand respect because everyone thinks that your part of practice is the worst part of the day.
But you touch the most players on the roster.
Totally.
That's why, like when Gary Kubiak had to sit out a game and they had 4 days to get ready, the reason Joe DeCamillis got the interim gig was because he'd worked with the most players
I think it's
as a special teams coordinator.
on the offensive side of the ball. Russ is the best chance to be, the harsh one. Mm-hmm. And then it's almost no one. Maybe you look to Cortland Sutton or Tim Patrick. Both of those guys pretty fiery individuals who can lead with that sternness about them. But you probably need it from Russ. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they've had a meeting where Hackett says, like, hey, I need you to be tough on these guys because I'm going to be constant positivity.
Yep, exactly. And then on the defensive side, I think it's a guy that we talked about at the very, very beginning of the show, Kareem Jackson.
Of course.
Yep, he's the dog. He's the voice. He's the Punisher on the field and maybe in the locker room.
And Evero doesn't strike me as the happy-go-lucky guy that Nathaniel Hackett is.
I thought you were going to say that the mean guy. I think he's probably in the middle. I don't think he's a mean guy by any means.
I only ever talked to him once. He definitely wasn't super nice guy.
I think he's very he's
Serious.
he's very serious and studious.
Yeah.
Like I think
I can see him yelling. For sure.
Too bad you don't have Bill Kolar.
I know. Well, did that ever end up happening? The special assistant?
He wanted that title, and I have still not heard official word from the Broncos if that has happened. I know
Getting
he wanted
the
it,
Marcus Ware treatment?
though. Yeah, exactly. That's what he wants.
Oh, that was weird.
It was. Yes,
Maybe.
it was. And there was a reason why it lasted. Did it even... I mean, it probably went a full
lasted.
season, but that was it.
So Marcus Ware was cashing checks for nothing.
Yep.
Kolar's still listed on the coaching on the staff, by the way.
Interesting.
Defensive line special projects.
Okay.
Yeah, he's listed under the defense. Basically you've got the coordinator, and then everybody's listed in alphabetical order, and there he is.
If someone was going to be like DNVR Broncos special projects, would it be like Henry? Like, comes on when needed.
Right. Bounces around a little bit.
Henry, if you're listening, you can add that to your Twitter bio.
So does that mean he's retiring soon? Because that's kind of this is the path to retirement.
No.
What's the Dom Capers title? He is senior defensive assistant.
Senior defensive assistant.
That means he's getting a big check.
That is a job that's very much you're one step from retirement. I mean, Capers is kind of going year to year, place to place, cashing checks.
I don't know. I think with that, he's going to have a lot of power. He's going to have a lot of power without being demanded a lot out of. I think he's going to have a lot of power.
Maybe he's the bad cop.
Power without responsibility, like John Elway last season.
There you go. Exactly. And one guy
It's the opposite of Spider-Man, right?
Yes.
With great power comes no
With great titles comes little responsibility and a lot of power.
That's in a big paycheck. That's the way to do it.
That is a good look.
And a guy that may be on this staff or on this team next year, let's dive into our series of who the Broncos could pick at pick number 64 if he falls there. And today, let's look at the defensive side. Let's see if the Broncos could get a dog here. And we're going to University of Texas San Antonio cornerback Tariq Woolen. And guys, he is very interesting.
Don't say it, Mace. What is their mascot?
It is a Roadrunner.
Nice.
Hey!
That's good work.
Thank you. You thought you had me.
What are Roadrunners? They're
Fast.
long and fast.
And boy, is Tariq long and fast. God, he's a cornerback listed at 6'4". You'd rather hear about 6'2", 6'3" cornerbacks. 6'4", 205 pounds. He has the ideal size you want. He has the ideal speed.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't care if he's 4'6". He ran a 4.26
4.26 40
at the combine, not at a pro day.
Right.
At the combine, 4.26 40 as a 6'4" corner. Color me extremely intrigued.
And our draft guys, Jake and Andre, shout out to them. They said the weakness is he's raw, only played cornerback for 2 years. Zone coverage and run support schemes and speed are also weaknesses, and or not speed, maybe defensive scheme speed are weaknesses. And he is raw, as raw as they come. He has all the physical tools, but only played 2 years as a cornerback.
He struggles to track the ball. And that's one thing.
Why he's not a wide receiver.
Exactly. I'm wondering, they converted him. He's only been corner for 2 years, in part because his hands were, to put it kindly, subpar.
There's no way you see a guy who's 6'4" runs a 4.26 that wasn't formerly a receiver.
Yep.
So when I watched him, like there are times like he's fast, which means he can make a mistake. If he is in press coverage, he can make a mistake and then he can catch up downfield. You see that a lot. And you see him face guarding a lot. So he's going to have to be careful to make sure that when he is catching up to a receiver and the quarterback is throwing downfield, that he's not making contact too soon. And certainly some of those receivers are going to try to draw contact and try to, kind of how we see drawing a foul on a 3-point play in the NBA to try to get the PI. Like Dre and Jake said, he extremely raw. You love the speed, you love the length, you can't coach it. Basically, he's got some of the attributes of Brendan Langley, except he's taller, longer, and faster, but like Langley, very raw, like Langley, converted wide receiver. And honestly, guys, that's kind of what scares me here, is he technically has a long way to go. I would like him on day 3. I think 64, when that's your first pick, is a bridge too far for me.
So I was going to say, I have one question. Is he comfortable running backwards?
You certainly hope so. He is comfortable turning and then catching up. I know that because he is fast, and the play's never done with him, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a ball of clay. So how much do you trust your DBs coaches? How much do you trust the DBs in the room to help this guy come along? I guess I would say it doesn't necessarily... maybe. I would say at 64, it doesn't strike me as a George Payton pick.
The Broncos need a cornerback for the future at some point, and they need a lot of guys for the future at some point. Right tackle, defensive line, inside linebacker, cornerback, potentially safety as well. This would be too much of a stretch to do here. He is more of a project. I would be okay if it's one of your third-round picks that you're doing this with.
And more than okay. I'd be excited about it.
And boy, how about another third-round cornerback? We've got used to those throughout the years. And Brendan Langley, speaking of one of those guys, that's what he would be. But it's 64, too early.
I agree. Speaking of 64, well, first of all, someone said Lenny Walls in the comments.
Lenny
I'm
was
just so happy that his name was brought up today. I wanted to love Lenny Walls so much.
Lenny just didn't have Tariq's speed. That's
No,
the thing.
no.
Had his length,
6'5", wasn't he?
yeah, but not his speed. I mean,
love-
the Broncos had high hopes for him, but he got exposed there.
I have no idea like what happened. Something happened that really impacted me as a kid that just made me love Lenny Walls.
Love Lenny.
I wanted his jersey and everything.
Ever get it?
No.
Wow.
He barely ever played.
It's true.
He started some games.
Yeah.
Remember, you had him and Kelly Herndon
Yep.
playing a lot in 03, I believe.
Man, I want him to be good so badly. It seems so obvious. Like he's just as big as the wide receivers.
Yep. Should be able to keep up right there. No jump balls.
And the thing for the Broncos is maybe they can teach him to catch and just convert him to back to wide receiver.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But something we are doing is we're going over to Lightshade Dispensary, and we're checking out their very new location, the Barnum location, just one block off 6th and Federal. It's the biggest Lightshade store ever, and they have specialty products that are not offered at other stores. And of course, they have Ripple over there just as well as they do at all their 11 Denver metro area stores. They have Ripple, which is a fast-acting dissolvable, and it's clinically proven to hit 2 times faster than the leading gummy, and it starts dissolving within 10 minutes, so you get that consistency, and which is what you want to count on. And if you use code DNVR over at any Lightshade store or online, you'll get 25% off all non-sale items. And for April 20th, for 420, they're celebrating by giving you buy one, get $1 off the best 5 selling products they have. So make sure to check out Lightshade leading up to 420 to get your
Buy
goods.
one, get one for $1.
Yes, exactly.
You said buy one, get $1 off.
Oh, buy one, get one for $1. There we go. Yeah, not off. Just for $1 period over at Lightshade. That's code DNVR.
Awesome deal. Also, just a quick reminder, if you're watching on Twitter, pop over to YouTube. When you get to YouTube, first of all, you'll have a much better experience. You can hit us with a thumbs up. And then what you're going to do is subscribe to the channel to make sure you never miss anything. We also have awesome coverage on all the other teams, including the First Place Rockies. Only refer to them as the First Place Rockies, please. And, of course, the Nuggets and Avs, who are, Nugs going into the playoff run, Avs coming down the home stretch. Awesome stuff on the channel. So check that out. And then, remember the website, thednvr.com, where you can leave your comments, and we will read them every day, including today, unless first we have a super chat to get to. Not today. Let's jump into the comments on the website then.
First one from Jordan Andrews says, Mace, I love Mountain Lightning Field at Mile High, especially since the live mascot's horse's name is Thunder. Get to work contacting Bill Walton. I think he means Rob Walton.
I'm in on Bill Walton.
Yes,
for sure.
Bill Walton. That'd be fun. Speaking of Lightshade, this needs to happen. Big fan of the Pod Boys. Keep up the good work.
Literally the
What is Mountain Lightning?
it's their version of Mountain Dew.
It's Walmart's version.
Walmart's
Mountain Dew.
version. Literally when you go through all the Walmart brands, that is
Which
the
is
one that
something
is
that you did.
most endemic to Denver and Colorado.
Mountain Lightning. Let's go. I'm
Mountain
in on
Lightning
Mountain
Field.
Lightning.
Mountain Lightning and Thunder. I like it.
And I, actually, one of my favorite memories at that stadium involved Mountain Lightning. It was a CUCSU game. Joel Klatt threw for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And on one of the throws, he was throwing a deep post to Derek McCoy. Right as he caught the ball, lightning struck down behind him outside of the stadium.
Yeah.
Everyone went even crazier. It was awesome.
I thought you were going to say it struck him.
No, thank God.
But how would you feel about Walmart sodas being the sodas at the stadium?
Well, I don't
in
really
general?
drink soda, so I
Okay.
wouldn't care. Once in a while, I'll do a Diet Coke when I'm on keto because it has 0 carbs and and it's sweet.
Yeah, what you wouldn't want is like low prices at Mile High Stadium.
Oh, good value.
Good
at
value.
Mile High.
Great value field at Mile High. Or
It's better than Empower, to be
or
honest.
what about don't they have a clothing brand that's called Faded Glory? You really don't want Faded Glory Field at
Definitely
Mile
don't.
High.
Yeah,
I
that
think
would
that's
be-
like
Yeah.
their line of just like American flag T-shirts.
Wouldn't you just have Rob Walton at Mile High?
No.
I mean, if he's paying $70 billion,
It would
think
be
you may do that.
Walmart Stadium at Mile High.
Why does Walmart need that though? I mean,
They don't.
Because they don't
everyone
have
knows
one. They don't have
but
one.
everyone knows what Walmart is. It's like I said on an earlier podcast. Pepsi didn't get great value, as we come back to great value, out of their naming rights for what is now Ball Arena because everybody already knew what Pepsi was.
Same-
But Coors, They still have it, and everyone knows what Coors is.
They just got a really great deal. It's like a lifetime contract for nothing.
I think Walmart would probably get a really good deal on this.
They would.
Would
It
you rather
be free?
They
But
would, yeah.
would you rather
Well,
sell it and make more money? Because a company like Empower, a company like Ball, these were companies that were trying to become more visible, and certainly it has helped them.
I know a company that wants to be more visible. DNVR Field at Mile High.
Let's go, baby. Bronco
Rob
Tiz
Walton, you
chime.
don't need the money anyway. Just give it to us.
Yeah, there we go. I like that.
Well, in that case, if
talk
he doesn't
about a way
need the
to
money,
incorporate yourself.
why not name it after somebody? Why not name it Pat Bowlen Field at Mile High?
Now that is how you endear yourself to the community.
Could you see a guy paying $5 billion, upwards of that, for a team, and then naming it after the former owner?
Well,
I just don't. I think it'd be awesome, but I don't see that happening.
Patrick Smythe, plant that bug in his ear.
Realistically,
I don't think so.
No.
All I know is that when they build the new stadium, which is going to happen, we're probably all going to pay for it. Sorry. We're calling it Wally World for sure.
I
Jerry
like
World
it.
and Wally
If
World.
he pays for a new stadium, as he should, he certainly can afford it.
Yeah.
Can call it whatever he
Kroenke's
wants.
paid for that one in LA. I did
That's-
not know that until yesterday.
Exactly.
Paid for the whole thing?
Yeah.
That's the
Good for
and
Stan.
that is the model, and I think it is fair that if Rob Walton buys the team, this is what you should expect them to
Yes.
do.
Well, and
You
Mace,
should.
as you and I talked about on
Yeah.
Monday, I think I don't expect that to happen. I
don't
would
either.
think so, but
Yeah.
get ready. Don't be shocked when he says you're going to pay for some of this.
There should be pushback if that's the case.
And he's going to say, fine, I'll move. And then Denver and Colorado will say, no, okay, we'll pay for 25%,
It's extortion,
whatever.
is what it
You
is.
don't make
It's what happens, though.
you don't make $70 billion
what I said.
by paying for
Yep.
things that you don't have to.
Yep.
And someone asked me, why would he make people pay for it? And I said, because he can.
Wealthy people are wealthy for a reason. It's because they don't just give out money.
More corporate welfare, just what we need.
Yeah, I mean,
Again, I'm not
no
saying
one's
it's right. I don't
good,
want it.
but
I'm just saying don't be surprised in 2 years, 3 years when
What are we
you
gonna
have
do?
to vote on this.
say no and then lose the team. Like,
Exactly.
we're not going to.
Bronco Tiz says, for all indications, the Broncos are set to nearly double the sale of of last team with a purchase price north of $4 billion. The Carolina Panthers sold for $2.27 billion. From a report just released by Congress, looks like the Washington Commanders may not be in the best position moving forward. That's for sure. Now on to my question: with the allegations against the Commanders, do you believe these warrant either the NFL or Congress forcing them to sell the team? And if there is a strong speculation this will happen before the Broncos sale is completed, do you think any bidders drop out or reduce their bid? How would another team going up for sale affect the overall sale of the Broncos? I understand it is a very limited market and would not truly affect the price much. Just wondering if some ownership groups would jump at the opportunity to enter the DC market. The Commanders aren't going to sell before the Broncos. The Broncos are already in this phase right now. Last Friday, everyone who wanted to be in had to have their initial bids in. So people that are in right now are in. I think this is why we have not seen Jeff Bezos in those, because he knows that the Commanders are going to go up for sale or Seattle's going to go up for sale. So I don't think this impacts the Broncos at all.
I do think he's waiting out Washington specifically.
Who? Bezos?
Bezos.
That makes
Yes.
sense. But for this specific scenario, the one thing you would have hoped if this was going to happen is it happened before the Broncos, because then the Broncos would just be more expensive.
Exactly.
It's the same thing we're talking about with the quarterbacks, right? Everyone resets the market.
So the Commanders are going to be more expensive because they're going to go on sale right around the time the Broncos are sold,
Right.
potentially.
And also, that's a valuable market as well.
Of course, but so is Denver.
Yeah.
And Denver has a better fan base.
Man, the Broncos are going to look like a deal after the Commanders sell.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said when this whole thing started, over $5 billion, which is still very much possible with this. Now, it looks like it's probably going to come in just
A
under
little
that.
bit under.
But it is crazy. And what you put out yesterday blew my mind as it relates to Rob Walton. More than 4 times more wealthy than any other NFL owner. We're talking about the richest people in the world are NFL owners, and he's 4 times richer than any of them.
Yeah, just imagine what that money could do.
It could do anything, but will you do it? It's not about can you do it, because basically all of these owners can do whatever they want. Rob Walton would be able to do whatever he wants, even more than anyone else. Will you do it?
And what's crazy, Ryan, too, is the top 8 richest owners right now are worth just about $7 billion or more. That means there are 24 other owners worth $7 billion or less. That means Rob
10x.
Walton would be worth 10 times more than 2/3 of the NFL. More than 2/3.
Insane. I mean, he could build a $10 billion stadium on his own dime that has a space station attached to it. You launch rockets out of there. Like, he could do anything.
And it wouldn't matter to him much.
Wally World.
Or he
be
could.
crazy.
I mean, do you think there's enough space between, let's say, like Elix's Pepsi Center, that parking lot, and Empower Field and the parking lot there, and then you have like pedestrian bridges spanning the interstate connecting the two? You think there's enough space there to create like a joint complex?
How about you just
A joint Kroenke, Walton, Shangri-La?
How about he just pays to also move the highway a little bit so that there is no highway in between?
The highway goes through.
Oh,
Like, it builds
yes,
over the
yes,
highway. There's like
yes.
tunnels.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And you can actually see in when you're driving
That
on the
would
highway.
be too cool. Oh, man. Be a lot of car accidents right there.
Potentially. You need some really strong glass or whatever you have
Right,
so no one
right.
drives through it.
Oh, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, anything would be on the table. And obviously you guys talked about the relationship with the Kroenkes and
Yeah.
how that would play a role. And there was the report out there that said if he's in, everyone else is out. And it's true.
Yep.
What are you going to do, outbid him?
Nope. You're not going to, because what he will end up doing, I mean, if he really wanted it, was he would just bid more than the second richest person bidding for the team is even worth.
He could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And groups, what's crazy is groups can't even compete with him.
So the trick for him, though, is can he get Peyton Manning on his team?
That's not a trick for him. That's if he wants Peyton Manning, he can have Peyton Manning. If he doesn't want Peyton Manning, then he doesn't have to have Peyton Manning.
But what I'm saying is start figuring out ways to endear yourself to the public. Because have you had any positive things in your mentions about him?
Some people like the money. The money would be it.
Okay.
Being able to do whatever you want.
And he has a place
Everything-
in Aspen.
Right.
And one of his kids lives here. So it's not like he is completely an
Detached.
outsider to Colorado.
What I'm saying, though, is everything I've had in my mentions
Sure.
is screw that guy, screw Walmart.
Sure.
Terrible
There's a
this,
lot of
terrible
that,
that.
though.
And,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
my thing is, like, you could probably poke holes in any billionaire of all the
course.
bad things they've
Yep,
done.
yep.
But what he should be doing is saying, okay, hell, I'll name the stadium Pat Bullen Field at Mile High. I'll bring Peyton Manning onto the team and make him the president of football or whatever you want to call it, and do all these little things to make people like him. Problem is, these guys, they just have such big
Yeah,
egos. I don't think they care.
I was going to say, I completely agree with you about what would help him in the public perception, but what he's probably going to do is one of his children probably going to become the president of the team, and that's who is eventually going to be the successor. And Peyton Manning doesn't want to become an assistant to the GM. He doesn't want to be George Payton's right-hand man. So then Peyton's role would probably be the president or, a special assistant to the owner or something. And that's just probably not the direction that a 70 billionaire wants to go.
Right, and again, they can do whatever they want.
Yep, exactly.
I think Peyton's play is continue building up Omaha, continue growing that business, and then use the equity from that to actually be
Buy a team.
the managing partner of a group that buys a team.
That's a long
That would
ways
be
away.
Oh, maybe it's when Rob Walton passes on in
Maybe.
15 years.
Yeah, that's another bummer of it. Is it's like, oh gosh,
We got to do this
we
again.
got to do this again.
Well, that's why the succession plan is key. And he has 3 children. If he buys the team lock, stock, and barrel, I hope it's not one of those things where the Broncos are split 3 ways. I hope it's, okay, let's say by then his net worth is $81 billion. I hope it's, okay, $27 billion to one kid, $27 to the next, $27 to the next. And the Broncos are part of a $27 billion in net worth that goes to one kid.
Good God,
I
what
do
a
not- I don't-
stupid number.
I
It's
don't
crazy.
want this looking like the Titans where Bud Adams, when he died, it was divided in 3.
Right.
And that's led to a lot of chaos in the last decade.
All right, we are
Yes.
going way long here.
Windy City Broncos says, I'm sorry, Mace, but no, the NFL does not want minority representation. They say they do, but what they really want is window dressing. They want a PR fix, not a real solution. Look
I
at
agree.
the ownership rules. All the limitations on what percentage can be owned by who and how much leverage is allowed limits to possible owners. The only people who can realistically afford to buy the Broncos are almost entirely white men. What individual black person can realistically get into a bidding war with Walton.
To be fair, almost no people on Earth can get into a bidding war.
He's the
with Walton.
18th richest person in the world. So, yes, that is a fair point. If the NFL wanted actual representation, that would change the rules. They would allow for larger ownership groups that could get into bidding wars. They would allow the Denver community to raise the money and buy the team. They would provide financing to help minority owners get established. If they wanted minority representation in the ownership room of the NFL, they could have it at any time. They do not. They had a chance to change it here, and they chose not to.
They're handcuffed by the responsibility of the trust to take the highest bid.
In
That
this
gets approved.
case, yes.
In this case, absolutely.
However, though, what he's saying is they need to change their rules about one person needing to have 33% of the money right up front and be able to put $1 billion down. What he's saying, well, Windy City Broncos saying is the NFL's rules themselves are blocking that, not just the Broncos' responsibility to take the highest bid.
That is the problem is that sets up a chaotic ownership situation.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's which would you rather have?
Right.
Do you want the minority representation or do you want clean ownership situations? For them, I know the answer. It's they want the clean ownership situations. But I agree with the commenter in saying, like, they're essentially just saying that. They are saying that for PR. They're saying we really want minority ownership. And they're using, names like Robert Smith and names like, I forget the name of the media. Byron Allen to make it appear as if that is the case, and then all of a sudden at the last, here comes Rob Walton.
Right.
Well, nothing we can do about this. He's going to outbid everyone.
And it's a shame. And what's crazy is Byron Allen, his personal net worth is right around $500 million. The whole time he was going to be putting together an ownership group, but think about $500 million compared to $70 billion.
Yeah, it's not even comprehensible.
It's totally different playing fields. Not even close.
Right.
Ozzy Dan chimes in, and this is an awesome one. He says, "Good day, boys. No real question today. Just wanted to thank you for publicly sharing my charity run for ALS and your kind words on the pod last week. Today is the day. So by the time the show drops here in Australia, usually around 7 a.m., I should be deep into my second of my 4 marathons for the day.
Insane.
Keep your fingers crossed for a long pod today, as nothing will distract me more from the pain than the delicate tones of you fine men talking about the beloved Broncos. Have a great day, Ozzy Dan. Ozzy Dan, what you're doing is so cool. He's running to raise money for ALS for one of his former students that has come down with the disease, and he's planning to run 24 hours and run 4 marathons in that time, 100 miles. It is insane.
Well, for you, first of all, incredible.
Yes.
I can't even comprehend. I can't even comprehend running 1/4 of one marathon.
No.
But we're going extra long for you.
Yes,
today.
we
We're going
are.
extra long.
We are.
So
But we
keep
also
going, man. Keep going.
We have to balance the going extra long with also dropping it so we can listen.
We gotta make sure. Insane, man. Keep it up, and what an awesome cause that you're supporting.
And you got to let us know how it goes after, probably 24 hours of sleep.
Yes, for sure.
Massive Chubb says, "Hey, fellas, on the face of it, the Wilson trade is a home run in every conceivable way for the Broncos, but all of this smoking the hopium pipe has installed in me a nagging dread. What if the haters are right? What if Wilson is washed? What if he comes in and gives us bottom-tier quarterback play and we're still out all those picks? Please help soothe my anxiety, the Chubster."
Just hit him with last year's stats in a down year.
If last year's stats of 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions is down, sign me up. Sign me up for Russell Wilson being washed.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not. He was hurt last year. He was not the same quarterback when he came back. He was on a bad football team. And all of those things are going to be different this year. So you don't have to worry. Everything's going to be okay.
I mean, even if he settles as quarterback like 5 to 9, okay,
You have a chance.
You've got a chance.
Yep, you do. And maybe people say, okay, well, no, it wasn't just last year. It was a year before he was declining. 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I'll take it.
I mean, how could you even say he was declining?
Yeah.
He was the MVP candidate. Well,
Because-
somehow didn't get it.
Because he was. Sorry, jeez. People say that because he was an legit MVP candidate early in the season, and then had a couple of bad games, and then Pete Carroll got spooked, and
Again, sign me up.
40 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What's the last 3 years combined of Broncos quarterbacks? Did we hit 40 touchdowns?
Let's see. Teddy had 18 this year, and then how many did Drew pass it to,
I think Drew had 19 the year before.
or did he have 16?
I thought it was 19 touchdowns.
It was
19.
I thought he was
16,
16-15.
Yep.
Remember,
Oh, okay.
he just sneaked over on the positive side
Okay.
at the end. And Teddy had, but then Driscoll had what, 2? Rippon had
So
1.
we got 40 in the last 2 years, a little less than 40 in the last 2 years
it's-
combined.
And let's just, the last time a quarterback in Denver had 40 passing touchdowns in a season,
Peyton.
2013.
Yeah.
So Peyton was here 2 years after that, and he still didn't get 40.
Right.
He had 39 and 14.
Unbelievable. Next one's from Bronco Oilers. Happy Wednesday, guys. With Russ seemingly getting a lot of input into the offense this season, I'm curious as to if we'll see his dual threat abilities capitalize on more. I know you typically don't want your franchise QB running the ball a bunch, especially at his age, but I do wonder if letting Russ cook may entail letting Russ run around a little bit. We've never had a real dual threat quarterback. Not even Tebow. He was only one threat. His legs. So it would be exciting to see some options and designed run elements next season. Do you think we'll see Russ's legs utilized a bit more like early in his career? No. I think you'll see his legs utilized in ways that are still designed to throw the football. So big bootlegs, deep drops, rollouts, all that stuff. And then once in a while, you'll get the goal line zone read keeper where he fools the whole defense, pulls it out, and walks in. Once in a while, you might see like a sprint option on 3rd and 1. I could see that. But for the most part, I think you're going to see his rushing designed rush runs. They're not going to go up, I don't think.
Over under 404.5 rushing yards for Russ this
Under.
year. I'm going over.
I'm going under.
I do think they utilize it. Now, I think Russ utilizes it by sending everyone deep. Okay, everyone's gone. I'm going to take off for 20. I don't think it's going to be 10 rushing attempts for Russ every game. I think it's going to be 2 chunk plays every game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's good enough. And I posted, remember we had the conversation about how he's a legitimately elite
Insane
runner as an NFL quarterback. I posted that and everyone's like, this is disingenuous because last year his numbers were down. And I guess it was just misinterpreted. I'm not saying that all of a sudden, he's going to come in and run the football like Lamar Jackson.
Right.
What I'm saying is when the opportunities are there, he's a legitimately elite threat with his legs.
He is.
And so you can't play man coverage against him.
Nope.
Or else he'll just take off.
Nope.
And so it just having that second threat makes life so much more difficult on the defense.
And you have the huge threat with Javonte Williams in the run game, and obviously the huge threat in the pass game with all the weapons, with Russ being able to get it there. And then this is kind of a third additional threat. And this is just a threat that you have in the back of your mind, but that can be so dangerous.
Yep.
Because he could have a game where he has 85 rushing yards. Because defense just says we're not going to let the passing game beat us, and we're not going to let Javonte. We're going to let Russ beat us on the ground, and he's still able to do that right now.
100%.
But at the same time, he's getting older, and you're wanting to minimize his exposure to hits. So when he is taking off, you're telling him, get down, get to the sideline.
He has to be smart. You're right. Onion Booty Bronco says, can you please make a DNVR Broncos podcast shirt featuring caricatures of our beloved hosts? There could be the dialogue bubbles above each head. Zach would say, my boys. Mace would say,
75.
and RK would say,
Here's the thing.
please make a boy so happy and bring a t-shirt of this ilk into the world. Love, Onion Booty Bronco.
You're the only person who wants this. You're the only person who wants this.
Do we need a petition and him to get not just signatures, but like real money put in escrow for these t-shirts?
Yeah, I it's just not happening. No one wants just like 3 regular white dudes on their t-shirt.
Wow, Onion Booty does.
He does. He's one of one.
He comes in and says, also a content question. Have we done a best names in Broncos history draft yet on 3 Ring Circus? McTelvin Najim is now up there for me besides Ebenezer Ekubon and Jeb Poutsier. Love, Onion Booty.
It's a good one. I want to say we did do some sort of all-name draft.
I thought we did last year.
Yeah, we did last year.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably a couple new names we could throw in there from last year.
We could probably just do the whole thing all
Yeah,
over again.
we
and
could.
do a bunch of different names without even realizing it.
Why can't I think of who was the cornerback's name?
Which one?
That had a legendary name on the team last year.
Oh,
Practice squad guy. He had an interception his first practice at training camp.
Broke Jesterman.
Yes.
Broke
yes,
Jesterman Ferris.
Yes, that's pretty good.
I don't know why I was wanting to say Benedict.
Or Ro Yesterman. Maybe it's a soft J. Like Yogging.
From CDuts1285, my boys, hearing all these "where were you" stories about Russ has inspired me to share mine. I had the day off and I was in my living room that morning when the news came in about Rodgers allegedly staying in Green Bay. I tossed my phone from the couch to the floor across the room, dreading another average year with another average quarterback. In the middle of taking my anger out on the Raiders and Madden a few hours later, I got another ESPN notification. All I could say for 5 minutes was "no way" and "F yeah." My girlfriend didn't appreciate me going insane around the whole house, jumping around before finally telling her the news. What an awesome day, though. Hot take: Broncos go 14-3 this year. Also, Javonte Williams has always given me C.J. Anderson vibes, and I'm 100% here for it. That's it for today. Go Broncos and go DNVR.
I think he can be way better than CJ.
I was going to say, like, a more talented.
Yeah, more consistent. Remember, CJ had 8-game spurts in 2 years, and he would just go off in those 8 games. I think Javonte can be more consistent for more years than that. And one theme that we're hearing from these "where were you" stories is people going crazy and not telling their significant other why for like 5 minutes, just freaking out. They just couldn't get words out of their mouth for a couple minutes.
Me, it was closer to like 30 seconds, maybe less. But even I couldn't. I was just like, no effing way, no effing way.
Yeah.
Like double checking, all
Right.
you know.
Yep. Making sure the Adam Schefter account wasn't add-in Schefter.
Adam Schefter.
Adarn Schefter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I truly did, like, because I didn't want to be the person who, like,
Right.
had to then recant, like, the excitement that I gave all those people. So I'm like, I'm not saying this until I'm 100% sure it's the right Adam Schefter.
But yeah, it
What
was
a
the peaks and valleys of the emotions. Although I will admit, when the word came down that Aaron Rodgers wasn't coming, I was relieved. I didn't want to cover Aaron Rodgers.
If I had known that Russell Wilson was like a really good option, potentially, then I would have felt the way you did. But when I saw that, I was like, I thought it was just, okay, well, Malik Willis time.
I wasn't up for the weekly press conferences becoming performance art.
I really thought that I was going to have to pound the Malik Willis drum for multiple months.
Draft in 15 days, which is wild because it doesn't matter here in Denver as much. Not nearly as much.
Yeah, we'll still make it fun on our draft show.
You bet.
That's all we can do is make it fun.
Exactly. And last one coming in from Bronco Tiz says, "Hey guys, one last question. With Russell Wilson putting his home on the market, why not make a call and have him allow DNVR to Airbnb it the weekend Denver plays in Seattle? If that happens, I am in. We could then show up in orange Russell Wilson jerseys to show Seattle what they lost. Go Broncos." The only issue with this, Bronco Tiz, is the estimated mortgage on this place is $150,000 a month. So what would a cleaning fee in an Airbnb like that be?
We party way too hard for anyone to let us into their $27 million home.
Yeah, I don't think Russ is going to let it happen.
I was at a bachelor party not too long ago, and the Airbnb host, you know how you can like write a review for the guests? The only thing that it said in the review was they had fun.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Some neighbor calls maybe too.
There's no neighbors.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's really hard for just like that many people to have a really good time and some things not to go wrong.
It's a good thing it wasn't a $28 million house.
Yeah, it was. Might as well have been. God, we paid a good amount to have that good time.
To have that good time.
That house is really ornate, by the way. I'm just now looking at the photos.
Oh man, have you seen the treehouse? Last 2 pictures.
That's not a tree house. That's like
a tree home.
It's a guest house in it that happens to be around a tree.
They wrap it around a tree, so it's a tree house.
Where were they? Where are they now? Because I saw they were like at an indoor pool. Do they already have a spot here?
They already got a spot.
I thought
Is
they
it
were
like
over
Mike
in
Shanahan's or like
Cherry Hills Village.
Yeah, they're in Cherry Hills and much less expensive than the house that he was in Seattle. So I'm thinking it may be just kind of like a temporary home.
Can you even get a $27 million house in Denver?
There's a couple in the $20 million range.
Okay.
Just a couple.
I want to see it. Like, just want to drive by those.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Pretty crazy.
I'd settle for the guest house. I mean,
is there a football field in the back? We have that
it's got
covered here?
It's not.
No,
it's not like an actual.
There's a
field.
dock. There's a dock in the back. It's just a yard.
My God.
Yeah.
It's just an estate.
overlooking Lake Washington.
And with Seattle in the background, it's incredible. From Russ's bed, he's overlooking the water and the skyline.
He's got his branding in the carpet in the weight room.
Yep.
He's really into that
course.
brand. I've never seen a player like just rock their stuff on the practice field.
He's really into his brand.
I kind of want
Garrett Bowles should have showed up wearing his brand.
Yes.
Did you see the videos on Sierra's Instagram story this weekend of Bowles bonding with their daughter?
Yeah.
That was adorable.
Yeah, it really was. Smart for Garrett to be building these relationships behind the scenes. Because, man, if Russ wants him, he's going to be hooked up with another massive deal.
Is there a recording studio in this place?
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
there is.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you got to
Sierra.
give Russ the gym. You got to give Sierra the studio.
Unreal.
I loved that, like, from Garrett Bowles.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like a skill that you learn when you have kids. I feel like it's really hard to like hold a conversation with a child, and he had to go.
You just have to be okay talking with them how they want to be,
Right,
how they
they're
want to
gonna
talk
go down to there.
Yeah.
All right,
I
we do
swear,
have one.
There are a lot of homes that aren't as big as their closet, by the way.
Oh yeah. I mean, my apartment's 500 square feet, so I'm sure they're
Wow.
that's bigger.
Wow,
For sure. All right, let's hit this super chat on our way out. How many dogs are on the Broncos?
Kareem,
Yep, Tim Patrick.
I think DJ Jones can be one. It's just a little hard to tell when
I
he
don't
hasn't
know
been
him
on
yet.
the team.
Yep.
Exactly. So I'm not going for sure there.
Quan Williams maybe too. We don't know.
Quan
Don't
could
know
be
yet.
He
definitely.
plays so aggressively on the field that I get that feeling from him.
Yep.
Javante, but
No.
I don't know, man. If you,
I think he's a.
he's like I was gonna say, if you have the Michael, he's like a silent killer.
I
Though
was gonna
dogs
say,
are
I was
dogs
gonna
bark.
say he's a dog on the field with his play, but not in terms of like the mentality.
There's something about like
Yep.
you got to talk trash and you got to do all that stuff.
I think Garrett Bowles wants to be a dog,
Yeah,
and I think potentially he could be there. But Broncos are missing some dogs, is what we're saying. I mean, how many dogs did that Super Bowl 50 defense have? I mean, we're talking about so many, and that's also why they were legendaries, because they had so many, plus all the talent there.
T.J. Ward, Aqib Talib, Chris Harris Jr., Derek Wolfe.
Yeah.
I mean, you just go
Malik
down-
Jackson.
Malik
Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah.
You just go down. Danny Trevathan.
Rathan was
Yeah.
a dog.
That's all they had.
Yeah.
That's all they had.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, they pretty much had two at every position.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Broncos having two for sure ones on their team now.
and it's okay. You know, it's not the end all be all, but I would definitely prefer to have more.
I would rather have a quarterback than have a lot of dogs.
Hey.
And the Broncos have that, so
Yeah. And maybe he can be a dog.
he could be. Yep.
He
I don't
does.
know.
He has this
He's got to
look
be
in-
bad cop then
Does
if
he-
he's a dog.
Does he always have that look in his eye, or does he have a new look in his eye?
Like the
He has
the-
this, like,
the
really,
kind
like,
of focused. It's like always focused
Angry.
look.
Like I
Yeah.
see some anger in those eyes.
Wow. So it sounds like you're saying he's a bad cop. I like it.
I hope so.
Welcome to the dark side.
All right. This has been fantastic. Great long conversation for you fans of the Long Pod. Thanks to everyone who was with us the whole time there in the comments. Look at that. Same person who brought in the first comment is coming with the last
Let's
comment.
go, Jose. We
Appreciate
see
you, Jose. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. And we will catch you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.